My name is James Denstedt, and I'm interviewing Dr. Patricia Dorsey, principal of Friendship Valley Elementary in Carroll County. Hi, Dr. Dorsey.
Well, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
I wanted to ask you a few questions, some open-ended questions to get you to speak about your experiences here in Carroll County. And so question number one is, what was it like for you growing up in Carroll County? And was it generally a positive experience or not? And maybe you can tell us why or why not.
Okay. Well, I guess I can begin by answering the second part of the question first and saying that yes, for me, it pretty much was a positive experience. Really, my early years, when I lived in Carroll County, we were living in an area in Henryton, Maryland, and really we were right on the edge or the outskirt of Carroll County, but we went to school in Howard County. So frankly, even though I lived in Carroll County for grades 1 through 5, I went to Howard County Public Schools. And after my 5th grade year, my family moved to the Sykesville area. And at that point, I began attending schools here in Carroll County. So from grades 6 through 12, I attended Carroll County Public Schools, and all my life, even when I was on the outskirts of Carroll and going to Howard County schools, and then once I moved to the Sykesville area, all throughout my childhood, it's been positive for me. And again, I feel it's been that way because of the foundation that my parents laid for us. I mean, I kind of think with the kind of upbringing and support that we had at home, that again, it would have been positive, it seems like, no matter where we lived at the time. So at that particular time, of course, the races were separate as far as schools were concerned. So grades 1 through 5, I attended Cooksville Elementary, and that was, again, an all-black school. And then when I moved into the Sykesville area in 6th grade, I was at the old Johnsville Elementary School. It's now the building is now a senior center down on Bartholomew Road, but it used to be the elementary school. And again, that was all black. And then once you finished 6th grade at that time, we were ready for high school. Grades 7 through 12 were included in high school. So I came to Westminster, to Robert Moton School. And I guess I have to clarify that too, because Robert Moton was known as a consolidated school, and really it had all grades from grades 1 through 12. And if you were black living in Carroll County at that time, you attended Robert Moton School. So I attended Robert Moton for grades 7, 8, and 9. And then at the end of my 9th grade year, Robert Moton closed because then the county was integrating the school system. So then grades 10 through 12 were spent in my community school, which meant that I was then going to the predominantly white schools. It was a bit of a transition for me. There were some tough times, I have to say. I mean, from our perspective, and when I say our, I'm speaking of, my peers and myself, as we were leaving Robert Moton. It was the feeling that our school was closing and that we had to then go to their school. And again, that was a little uncomfortable, and we had to work through that. And I, again, know that everybody had different experiences at that time. My experience was, really once I felt like I was really acclimated and involved in my new school at that point, it seemed okay. But until I got to that point, again, it was feeling like I was without a school and having to go to their school. At that time, when I think about how we would do things now as far as transitioning new programs, that wasn't in place back then. I mean, no one came and spoke to us as a class or as a group of students at Robert Moton. We were just told, Robert Moton is closing and you have to go to your community school next year. So again, the transition was a bit uneasy, but I think we all worked to make it, go as smoothly for us as we could. So even considering how it was a little uncomfortable at times, all in all, I have to say that, it still wound up being a positive experience for me. I guess when I look back at things, it's like everything that I've really gone through just really helped to make me the person that I am today, even because I think it really helped to build character and, help to see you through, all those situations and times, even though some of them may have been uncomfortable. I think it helped to build some character. So all in all, I do say it was a positive experience growing up in Carroll County.
Okay. Which kind of leads to the next question, which is, did your experiences growing up in Carroll County influence your decision to become an educator?
I really can't say that my experiences here influenced me. I was influenced from early on. As even a preschooler back then, I can remember even, I guess, being age 5, I'll just say it, age 5, but I just remember as a youngster, I just always wanted to be a teacher. And, I would, take a piece of paper and, go around the kitchen and I just write down words, salt, pepper, fab, whatever words I would find on boxes or whatever. I'd write them down, and then I would later quiz my dad and also my uncle, now it's your turn. Can you spell salt for me? And can you spell pepper? And, that's how I spent my childhood. And if I wasn't using my dad and my uncle as my class, I would have my baby dolls. My sister and I would play baby dolls, and with the baby dolls, and a lot of times they would be part of the class as well. So I can't say that here in Carroll County I was influenced to become an educator. It just seemed like, I just really had the desire to be involved in education from early on. And for the most part, my experiences going through school have been very positive, but I was one of the ones early on that just really felt like I wanted to be a teacher. And then really when I got in school and saw some of the great models that I had before me, especially early on, I just knew that I wanted to grow up and be like them. Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about your experiences as a student, and so what was your path to becoming a principal like? I mean, did you always know you wanted to be a principal, or was it just you wanted to be a teacher and then you said, okay, maybe I'll be a principal?
Right. I knew I wanted to be a teacher, and I enjoyed teaching very much. And, a requirement once you have had your certificate, you have like the first 3 years you have to earn up to 6 credits toward your certification, and then within a 10-year period you should have a master's degree or master's equivalency, which gives you another 30 credits. So knowing that I needed to acquire these 30 credits, I knew that that I wanted them to count for something. In fact, I guess my first 30 credits that I got, I just started taking classes, whatever I was interested in, and they really weren't leading to one particular program. They were just credits based on, somewhere math, whatever area I saw that they were offering some classes. If I felt it was something that I could really benefit from, I took those classes, wound up getting my 30 credits, which is what I needed after 10 years. But it was after that that I really started looking at administration and had to go back into a program then and take classes leading to administration and supervision.
Okay. And do you feel like those positive experiences you've had as an educator, do you feel like that influenced you to become a principal, or was it was like the next logical step in your career? I mean, because my wife is a teacher.
Okay.
And so, but she doesn't know if she wants to be a principal. She doesn't know if she wants to leave the classroom. So is it like the difference between management and labor, or is it just,
Well, I think what happened with me as a teacher, I was given some opportunities to take on some leadership kinds of roles, and that really helped persuade me that yes, I should, go ahead and pursue this and take it a bit further. For example, I used to be the leader of my team, so to speak. I taught third grade for a number of years, so I was the third grade team leader. And with being the team leader, we got to meet with the principal on a regular basis, and whenever there was anything dealing with the third grade team, whether it was, management kinds of things or whether we just had to complete all of our ordering for the next year, I was like the go-to person for the team. So that just sort of gave me a flavor of, what it was like to actually, still be involved in teaching, but have some leadership type activities. And it seems like the more activities that I had related to leadership, the more that I really wanted. So, it was at that point, I guess, my involvement with being the team leader. And, we used to, years ago, have, it was basically a human relations type committee in the county. And I was the human relations representative for my first school. And again, that was another leadership type activity or assignment. And, the more I got involved in those kinds of activities, the more I really felt like, okay, I can take this further and, get involved in a program that would give me the skills so that I can be involved a bit more. So it was, I guess, during some of those earlier experiences that I realized I wanted to move forward and be involved in administration.
And how long have you been a principal?
Probably longer than you I won't say longer than you are old, but let's see, I'm completing my 39th year in the county at this point. 10 of those years were involved in teaching, so it's for 29 years then that I've been a school administrator.
I was just thinking, do you miss teaching as, your primary?
I did, especially at first when I became an assistant principal, just right out of the classroom, and I had been in a resource role prior to becoming an assistant principal. And, during those early years, it was really hard to be out of the classroom. But now I have grown, in my role as principal, and really I can be in any classroom at any time that I'd like, even though I may not be directly teaching. I can be sort of influencing what's going on in the classroom. So rather than my direct involvement as the teacher, so to speak, it's like that other layer is in there because, I really communicate and interact with the teachers and, help to influence instruction by being involved with them. And then that really does help set what's going to take place in the classrooms. And, there are times when, there might be an emergency that's come up and we need coverage for a class real quick or something like that. And during those times, I don't have a problem at all with going in and covering the class.
Okay. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? Still as a principal?
Oh, in 5 years, you know what? By the end of this school year, I'm going to be retiring. So in 5 years, I do not know what I'll be doing. I still certainly feel that I have something to contribute, but I'm just not sure which direction and in which form that's going to sort of reveal itself at this time. But
well, I think after 39 years, you deserve a break. So.
Yeah, maybe during that break I can either refuel or else rethink, and maybe there are other areas that I haven't even thought of that I would venture into. I'm just not sure at this time.
Well, as a personal curiosity, what is your PhD in?
It's in education and educational administration and supervision.
Well, maybe I could ask you some advice while you're on camera. Because,
okay.
I'm currently training to be a teacher. So in Carroll County, and I'm a little older. I'm 38, so I'm coming into it knowing that I want to be a teacher.
Good.
Probably not wanting to be a principal because I just don't want to do the management part of it. I want to teach my subject. So do you have any advice for me, starting out at this point in my life,
Mm-hmm. I think you would certainly bring a lot to the table because usually what I notice, because again I've worked with folks in the past who've chosen teaching as, let's say, their second career. And usually, those folks come in very, very focused. They know what they want. And they sort of have different reasons for having landed in the classroom, so to speak. But again, the main idea is that they know that that's where they want to be. So for folks who are coming in like that, again, you just have to, continue to come in with your eyes wide open. I mean, certainly there can be challenges in the classroom. You certainly have to have that classroom management in place. And as far as instruction, sometimes and maybe this is more for some of the younger folks who are just starting out, sometimes they look at a classroom and they just think, oh wow, that all looks very, very easy. But it's not easy when you can get a classroom to really operate and function properly, because you have to spend so much time planning. You have to know your curriculum. Not only do you have to have your short-term plans and objectives, but you have to know long-term where you're going. You have to know what it is that you need your students to know. And I guess that's been a revelation for folks too, because you sort of have to start at the end. You have to know what they should be like by the time they leave your course or your class. So you sort of have to backward map and see, okay, what you need to do to get them to that point. So you have to be aware of your assessments that are out there, and what the assessment pieces are telling you, and then you have to plan your instruction based on the assessment results, and days are going to be different. I mean, no longer do you walk in a classroom and say, okay, these 25 kids, are going to stay together as a group, and this is what we're going to do day 1, day 2. You need to look at the individual needs that are in the class, and you really need to direct your instruction based on those individual needs. So it's a tough profession in one sense, a very rewarding one, but certainly you have to be very prepared and ready to deal with all of the challenges in the class. So I think as an experienced person, you would go in, knowing that it's going to require work on my part, and again, you're going to have the kids' best interest at heart. And sometimes their best interest may not be at your convenience, so to speak. So sometimes you might have to do some things that may not be very convenient for you. But again, if they're in the best interest of the children, you need to proceed with that. And again, a lot of times the sooner you can get in our classrooms and get involved, the better it is for you. Like if you can get on the substitute list even while you're, working on your degree, so to speak, or if you can get involved with your parent-teacher organization, and any opportunities that you can get to really come into the classroom would be helpful. A lot of times with parents, they can be used as resources to come in and share their career with the kids, or just any kind of opportunity that you could take advantage of to really get in the classroom and interact with the kids. I think it's going to be helpful, no matter whether you're just beginning or whether you are an experienced person.
Okay.
So I don't know. Hopefully that will shed some light, and you can get some advice. Just in knowing all of that.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate your time.
You're quite
is there
welcome.
anything that you want to talk about before we stop the recording?
I don't really think so. I know that here in our county, there has been a project in place to really get the perspective of blacks who've grown up in the county, and again, no one person speaks for the entire community. We all have had different experiences, and I think, again, based on those experiences, most people have become, what they are today. Based on all of that. And, even though sometimes, there have been some hardships or maybe some doors closed that we wanted to have opened, sometimes in working around all of that, it's really helped to build some character.
Well, thank you very much for your
You're
time.
quite welcome.
And